Folks, we're back on the little milking parlour farm shop type project that we've got going on. I managed to make a start on painting, so stick around and I'll show you how I got on. So you can see here, this is really kind of flaky. I think Joe pressure washed it a little bit off. Sucker water-based masonry paint. Pretty sure this is the same deal going on here. That's where it was pressure washed, I think, with the steam cleaner, but it's not taking it all off. And if we want it to match back to all the red brick, we're gonna see if we can get it off with some paint stripper. Now, I did have a chat with a few people in the know, and a lot of the products that were suggested from professionals, you had to be trained professional and you had to have a certificate to get it, and it all sounded like extremely nasty stuff. So we thought we'd try an eco one first. This is like a bio strip paint stripper. We'll see what happens. It says an hour. I'm impatient. We might not wait that long. Ooh. The other option would have been to get it all shot blasted, and I had a quote for that as well as some other areas of the farm. I just haven't got the time or finances really to put towards that. So I think we'll see what we can get done ourselves, and then in the future we will no doubt get all of the buildings cleaned professionally by a heritage team, and we can restore a lot of the timber frames because most of the bottoms are pretty shot. I'm not even afraid of bees. Well, I am now. And we've even got beekeeping stuff and bait hives out at the moment. But that one that bit me just now, and now there's two more. There's a load of bees living inside the wall over there, but attack bees. Right, this stuff is going on pretty easy. It's doesn't smell chemically or anything like that. It doesn't have any warning labels on it either. Or not much. Nothing like keep out your eyes. It just says don't swallow. So interestingly, as soon as I put this on the black finish that is over the timber frame, it reacts and stinks. So I don't know what that paint or oil or whatever that is, but it doesn't like this. So that means that it should come off quite easily, or it could just go really gummy. This is pretty patchy, and actually a sander might be better here, but I'll just show you what I mean. If I paint this on, within seconds, you can see the black is coming off. Now I don't know if it's going to scrape off nicely once it's bubbled up a bit, or whether we're going to still have to sand it a lot. But you can see whatever that is, probably engine oil now in this place. Oh, damn it. She's got two more stings. One on my ear and one on my head. See them all coming in and out of the wall over there, but they're not. What have they got in for me? I'm gonna have to give up. This is ridiculous. I've just been chased up the road by about 4. I'm just hoping they don't like legs. Where's half of my sunglasses gone? Oh, I don't believe that. Oh. Can you actually see these? Because I'm not making it up. Come on, be brave, Tim. watch this guy here. He'll shoot down off the tiles. Here he comes. You better not be laughing the other end of the screen. Just hoping that the neighbours don't witness this. We're running out of the adrenaline. God. Maybe they're not. Right, we will return to stripping in a bit. Right, no sign of bees. I've come back, it's a couple of hours later. It is bubbled up a bit, but not that much. It scrapes off, but not enough. So you can see up here, if I scrape this, it comes off, but that's a lot of elbow grease. This stuff here really did bubble up, whatever the black was, but it's kind of dried again. But I have hope for that. The question is whether pressure washing this will work. I think what's going to happen is we'll blast it off and it'll get back to this sort of stage and we'll have to reapply. Let's have a go. Rosa. Well, it's not pristine brickwork, but I feel like we're probably about halfway. A combination of that floor scraper and the pressure washer has taken off the top 2 or 3 coats. And then we're back down to this sort of more stubborn stuff here, which we kind of knew about. So I think if we get it all to this point, make sure it's really dry, which should happen overnight, we can get a coat of probably a different type, more of a conventional chemically sort of paint stripper, and get all this last bit off. I don't think it'll take much. What else happened? Well, I wouldn't normally want to pressure wash timbers, but it is so... Actually, before anyone says it, I would not recommend pressure washing masonry, especially old stuff, because moisture gets in and, you know, it could freeze or it could just cause issues and get trapped in there. It is 35 degrees during the day at the moment, and this is just scorched all day. I have no, this is only really getting wet on the surface. I reckon, thinking about it, why this is the only one that's painted white, and it's only actually on this side. It might be to keep it cooler, because this what, you know, had the milk, would have had milk in and milking going on during the day. It would get quite hot in there, whereas the other buildings didn't really matter quite as much. I've been looking at it too long. I can't really tell the difference, but I can definitely see brick now. So hopefully it'll look like that tomorrow. So we're now back to square one, and we're going to paint. The new ceiling's going to go in at wall plate height. So don't need to worry about anything above that. I'm just going to be painting the brick section here down to our render. The render is going to be painted with an eggshell, and then this wall will be a feature. All of that, in a couple of years' time, is going to get blasted off, back to brick. We'll restore the lot, lime wash, wood fibre insulation, all the sort of good stuff that we want to be doing when we actually restore and renovate this properly. But for now, it needs to be workable, wipeable, cleanable, and signed off by the council. First up, you know, when it's 11 o'clock at night and you think you should order your masonry paint off Amazon, it's probably not a good shout. Of course, the first comment's going to be, Tim, why aren't you spraying? That's a good question. One, my little sprayer is packed up. I need to send it off for a service. Not packed up, it's just we didn't clean it properly one time. so it's something seized up inside it or dried up inside it. And the big sprayer, well, it kind of needs 10 litres or more to be spraying with that because there's no hopper. It picks up out of the whole pot, so it's probably not worth it. It's a shame I haven't got the small one up and running, but we'll just go old school. There are better brushes for masonry. Blown everything down, brushed everything down. We'll see what we can get out of this bag now. So that is one coat on there. It's not actually that shiny and satin, but at least it's going to be clean. We'll get a second coat on there. Now is the part that's really kind of tugging at my morals of what I should be doing here. Ripped off the cement render that was like that side over there, and we've exposed all the original brickwork. Now this brickwork is as built, and it's got the lime mortar in here, which is great news. I think it's lime. Yeah. So lime mortar is still intact. I can't get that through for the kitchen as it is. I don't think we can seal it properly either. So I could either batten off it and board it with something, or we paint it and make a feature of the brickwork. The paint I'm going to use is the same stuff up there, so it's not breathable, which is not great. I mean, it might be a little bit breathable, but it's not what we should be using, like lime wash or something like that. But because we're going to get all of this blast clean in the future, I'm just going to make the executive decision that we'll go ahead, I'm going to paint it. When we get the DOFF system or the blasting, cleaning and everything that has to be done elsewhere, this paint should all come straight off. This lime mortar, it's quite a hard lime mortar, so it shouldn't get too much damage in that either. And there'll be a whole kind of series of repointing done on the outside anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But if you've got a brick wall like this and a nice period home or something like that, do not do what I'm just about to do. Right, I only had an hour to do that a little bit. I still feel a bit naughty using that paint. I really should have, maybe I should have just tried to find a clay paint or something. Although this hasn't dried yet up here, this is all over existing paint, which is one reason why I didn't really fuss too much about going for a really breathable paint, because I couldn't get all these layers off anyway. And over on this side, this is all sound paint, but still got 2 or 3 layers on there. So unless we were stripping it all the way back to brick, a breathable paint just wouldn't help at all. Right, I've gone ahead this morning and finished off the last bit of the grey. So the grey goes all the way around now and across to the door. And now I'm going to get some eggshell down there. Really, until I've got the first coat of paint on, I can't tell what there is to fill. Some of these cracks might disappear. Some of the holes I need to fill. And the same with up on the grey. A lot of those tiny little rule plug holes have gone now. Right, well I think we're at the point where we're starting to put stuff back in, which is always a good point in the build. We have painted top and the bottom. I still undecided what to do with the floor. So as you might be able to make out behind me, the floor is a concrete floor. It was raised up, it's about 5 inches higher than the yard outside, which I think is not original, so it's been built up. And it's like a polished concrete floor, which is pretty smooth in areas. But elsewhere, where things have been bolted to the floor, there's breakout, people are filled in. It's just not so tidy down there. Epoxy floors are great and they're pretty hard wearing if the prep is done right, but not all floors are suitable for it. Ideally you want the floor to have a damp-proof membrane. This one doesn't, and we know that it has some moisture in the floor because when we took up the sheet that was on the floor there was damp areas. So that would mean that really I need to use a damp primer on it. These darker areas are oil spills where someone might have had a quad or a bike or whatever in here, and those bits are going to require a different type of primer, an oil tolerant primer. Each primer doesn't do both, and there are other issues, like we've got some sort of self-leveling compound on here in areas which is a bit flaky and not bound to the original floor. Remember, this is meant to be a 1 week project. It started off as a 2 or 3 day, but I simply cannot start grinding floors down, putting damp-proof membranes or liquid damp-proof membrane and new screeds down. It's a temporary job, this. So I'm going to go for a floor over this. I will use 1 bag, self-leveling, to fill some of the hollows and low bits. I've chipped off and ground down the other bits already, and I think that's a good option. Now the normal option for a vinyl type floor is Altro or a non-slip commercial type flooring, and that would be great because it's going to be a kitchen and you can't really scuff or tear that stuff. However, it only comes in 2 meter width. 2 meter width means you have to have a join, and to do a join you need to weld it, plastic weld the seams. I don't have the gear and I don't really want to start bringing in trades for this, which was meant to be a 3-day project. So I think what we're going to do is use a budget vinyl like I've used in the past, 4 meter width, do it in one. As long as there's no bumps and lumps underneath it, we'll just need to be careful with dragging freezers and stuff around in here. Now at the time James put this power in here last year, we thought this was going to remain a store for 3 or 4 years. Therefore this is not ideal. I don't think it's going to cause an issue for us from a kitchen point of view because it's not a kitchen as such, it's just freezer storage, so I don't think he'll have an issue with that. And I've now found out enough timbers that I can probably just about get away with doing this whole ceiling structure with all the reclaimed timber that I've already got. Therefore, all I need to do now is map out how I'm going to get the sheets up on the ceiling, and I can order them tonight. I'm going to go with 9mm plywood, I think. What I want to do is make sure that everything I put up here, in a couple of years' time, when we get around to doing this building, take it all down and reuse it. If I put plasterboard up there, one, I've got to do all the work of jointing and skimming and or whatever and pulling it down. If I use the hygiene panels, the plastic paneling, anything like that, I will have had to fit that with screws or nails or anything like that. I'm never going to be able to reuse that, and it's more expensive. I actually think that if I can get a deal on some plywood, then screw it up, I can easily unscrew that and I've got 6 sheets of plywood I can use something else. Never going to not be able to use plywood. Then I can pull down the timbers and we can reuse those. I won't say I'm bored of this project yet, but it's taking its toll. It's pretty lonely down here and I'm a bit fed up. And I've got a heck of a lot of stuff to do out in the fields, ready for next week, but more on that in a future video. I'm going to leave this one here. Thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and I'll see you next time.